Adventure rider enthusiasts rejoice! Finally, some motorcycle content back on the Blanco Lirio channel. We're loading up the Honda CRF 300L for a 6-day, 1,500-mile loop through California, Oregon, and Nevada to meet up with Harold Cecil up at Giant Loop at the Crystal Crane Springs annual ride. Jenny Morgan will once again be joining us on this adventure, and let me go inside and show you exactly what we're talking about. And then we'll go pre-flight our gear, show you the camping setup. So one of the objectives of this event is to go up and visit our old friend Harold Cecil from Giant Loop Moto. He's the guy that designs and creates all this great luggage that makes adventure biking so much more enjoyable. And Harold's putting on his annual event, 13th annual Giant Loop ride in Crystal Crane Hot Springs, Oregon, in the southeast corner of Oregon, right here at Crystal Crane Hot Springs. That is one giant hot spring pond right there. So he'll be hosting quite a few riders, probably upwards as many as 700 folks will show up for this event. And he'll be hosting a series of giant loops, adventure loops out of southeast Oregon that you can explore this beautiful part of the state. Super remote country. A view of the Crystal Crane Hot Springs area. Each day the riders leave the hot springs, and a lot of them head over towards the beautiful Steen Mountains and the Alvord Desert in southeast Oregon, close to the Nevada border. There's the Alvord Desert, Steen Mountains in the background. Just beautiful, wide open country. We'll all be camping out, tent camping the whole time. There's Harold.
This is a really unique corner of our state here, and I've had the good fortune of traveling and riding in a number of places around the world, and I've never seen any place that's quite like this.
He's right, it's totally unique. Crystal Crane Hot Springs is located just east of Burns, Oregon, in the great big desert valley here just north of the Malheur Lake. Very remote country, and by air in the 310 we'd get there in about an hour and a half, only 277 nautical miles away. But by adventure route, taking the dirt roads and trails up there, it's going to take us about 3 days. And the entire round trip is going to be about 1,500 miles because we're going to loop back down through Oregon and Nevada on the way back through the High Rock Canyon. So the other objective was to check out the brand new Northern California backcountry discovery route, but unfortunately the snow line is at 6,500 feet, so much of this brand new backcountry discovery route will be snowed in, and we're going to have to take the desert alternatives. But these backcountry discovery routes are all over the western United States now. Let me show you the maps. Here's the published backcountry discovery routes that they have currently. Each state has a unique backcountry discovery route. It's kind of a dirt road route meant for larger adventure bikes with some more challenging sections. But they just completed this Northern California backcountry discovery route, which comes right through our neck of the woods. So we'll do some of this route on the way up to Crystal Crane Hot Springs. These BDR routes are printed on these beautiful Butler maps nowadays, or you can just download the GPS tracks. And what I like to do nowadays is download the Benchmark Atlas, the giant paper Benchmark Atlas, the digital version, they're about $20 each, onto the cell phone using the Avenza Maps app. And then you can overlay the GPS tracks onto your Benchmark app, and you can also track your course as you move along. These maps are geolocated, and so whether you have cell phone service or not, they'll continue to work right off of your cell phone. And it'll end up looking something like this. And of course, you'll be able to zoom into incredible detail on the actual map on your phone. Now, these BDR routes, which generally run north and south, are not to be confused with the TAT, or the Trans-America Trail, Sam Carrero's creation of a dirt route all the way across America from west to east, or east to west. And a few years ago, we rode the best part, the western half of the Trans-America Trail, all the way from, Kansas back out to the California. Now let's go over to the hangar and pre-flight our camping gear. All right, pre-flighting the camping gear, cut. Okay, pre-flighting the camping gear before we ship out here. you never know what you've got from last year's ride, so it's always a good idea to check it out. So starting off with the Passage 1 tent, it's a good thing I checked because this is the wrong cover for this. That's for the Passage 2. A Big Agnes, let's go 0.6, there we go. Big Agnes sleeping bag down to 20 degrees. A Q-Core 2 Deluxe insulated mat, which is a little big for the Passage 1 tent, but it sure is comfortable. Inflatable pillow. What's that? A C2 Summit Eros Premium Large. And let me show you one more thing here. Stand by. This here, the Thermalite Reactor. This is a big bag you wear inside the sleeping bag that really increases the warmth inside the sleeping bag. One thing I can't stand on these rides is getting cold, and it's going to be cold in the mountains this time of year, probably down to freezing temperatures. So besides this setup here, I bring my big jacket. I use the big riding jacket for storing stuff as I'm riding, but I also use this big jacket as an additional blanket to put over my shoulders when I'm sleeping inside the tent. If I'm not using it as a big blanket, I'll use it as a rolled up pillow up there at the front of the tent like that. Lightweight Big Agnes chair. No, this wooden table does not come with us. The Stowaway 6 Cabela's fly rod, an assortment of woolly boogers. Get that opened up for you. For the tiger trout up in Knott Creek Reservoir, I better get an additional liter or two, make sure that's in my jacket. The Jet Boil stove, which has the fuel and everything you need nested up inside of here. The old Shoei open-faced helmet and a pair of sunglasses and some old mechanics riding gloves. I'll just be wearing Carhartts and boots. And the Ogio flight vest with the spot tracker, Garmin InReach, some sort of a spot tracker. Got water on board, got a basic first aid kit in here, some tools, a rag, a spare inner tube, a cute little garbage bag or a bag to haul groceries to camp at the end of the day and haul it out the next morning. Some old snacks. I got a pre-flight from years past. All that will be in the Ogio flight vest, which will ride on my back. And all this is going to fit primarily inside the Giant Loop Coyote bag, roll top bag. Here's a couple of Chaco's sandals for hanging around the camp. But most of that will disappear inside the Giant Loop Coyote saddle bag. And any additional stuff you have can go in this smaller Coyote, or correction, Giant Loop duffel bag. Kayak type waterproof bag. So when I repack these things, I don't keep the containers that the bags came in. You just use the Giant Loop Coyote bag as the container, and you just stuff it back in there. So the right side, I like to stick the sleeping bag in the right side and stuff it in there as tight as you can. And the same thing with the tent. Just stuff the tent in there, and you don't use the tent wrapper or any of the things that were used to contain the tent. Just use the Giant Loop bag as the container. So there's the basic setup on the bike, less than 17 pounds worth of stuff between the Giant Loop Coyote bag and the kayak style bag on the back here. We'll fill that up with a little more laundry. A little bit more about the bike itself. This is the 300L with the Rally Raid suspension on it. So that's the most important part with one of these bikes is if you get one, you got to upgrade the suspension. The stock suspension is way too soft. So for about another $1,000, you can get the whole new Rally Raid suspension setup that'll handle easily this load. Other than that, keep the engine and the exhaust stone stock reliable. I like to add these pivot pegs, higher handlebars, aftermarket handlebars, bark busters, KTM folding mirrors, a mount for a GPS if you want, a Cherubies high capacity fuel tank. To get the range, you need the range out of these bikes. They do get about 80 miles to the gallon. These are pretty much the stock IRC tires here. LED headlight. But the most important thing is to upgrade the suspension. Here's a hydraulic preload adjuster. I can crank that up. Additional load on the spring for the cargo. So stay tuned. I'm going to attempt to do some micro vlogging with the cell phone here and some very limited editing software on the cell phone. Basically give you a little slideshow of the different days as we get out there. Limited connectivity as well means I don't know how often I'll be able to get these reports to you, but stay tuned. Thanks so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that makes adventures like this possible. See you here. What have we here? That doesn't look like a CRF 300. Jenny Morgan.
One bigger. It's a 400.
One bigger. Look at this thing's pristine.
Yep.
But it's an antique.
It is an antique.
You're going to be starting it.
Huh?
I ain't kickstarting that thing. There you go. Just that easy, huh? Wow. And of course, being Jenny Morgan, it's all color coordinated, red, blue, and yellow. And look at that giant Baja light. Wow. And the ultra clean camping setup. Mine still just looks like a hobo mess.
Where's your slippers?
Yeah, they're there, yeah.